All right, welcome back, everyone, to the second track of our second day for the Enterprise Digital Transformation Asia Conference 2022, which is the digitalization of production and operations track. To start things off, we have a panel session on digitalization of business operations. In this panel, we have Nikhil Singh Kushwaha, digital transformation and senior data architect at OCBC Bank. We have Wei Zhang Chuan, CEO at Lender. We have Dr. Sankar Sri, Chief Data Scientist, Head of Data Science at APP Sinarmas, and our moderator, Mr. Amit Agrawal, Engagement Director at KPMG. Over to you, Amit. You're on mute. Perfect. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. I think one of the biggest challenges we are facing in the business operations, uh, I can give you some examples. Speaking with two of my clients, one of the challenges, for example, is one of their resources is leaving, and then when they try to find a resource in the market, they find some resource, but the resource doesn't have the same background, the same competency level, same skill level which they have got it earlier. Now they need to find a balance that, okay, now I do have a replacement, but that this is not 100% replacement. What should I be doing about it? So this is one way of doing it up. So they are just trying to find a way that either they can do some documentation or they can do some automation and something like that. Another client of mine where there are similar challenges. They were saying, okay, now I have a resource issue, I have tech issue. Then why not I go and automate everything? And they're interacting with me right now that can I use bots to or intelligent automation to automate the entire operation work so that I don't have so much dependencies on the resources sort of thing. So these are the typical challenges which you're currently facing it up. And that's something which we will be interacting now in this panel discussion. So I think that's a question to the panel here, to the rest of the speakers here, that what are the typical challenges you are seeing which you are currently facing in terms of managing your business operations? Maybe you can give us some insights on that. Nikhil, maybe you want to start from your side first.
Sure. Thanks, Amit. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Nikhil. I am a senior data architect currently working with OCBC Bank. I think that's a very peculiar question for, especially for FIs, on how or what kind of business processes or challenges any company, especially FIs, face in terms of resiliency and excellence. I think some of the part has Amit has already covered in terms of getting the skilled resources for the new technology. Because when we say digitalization of business operations, that doesn't mean we are just trying to convert some physical files or physical things to a virtual images, right? It's not just that. That is digitization. Digitalization is more about how we can adopt a chain of tools to make the business process smoother, to get basically customer satisfaction, to to be in a market, competitive market, because that we know, right, this market is pretty competitive in terms of the technologies being used as of today by various organizations. So I think, yeah, there is a crunch of skilled resources, I would say, or uh, while migrating from legacy applications which are pretty old in nature, or which are using old technology, or which are maybe not automated as of today, to a newer world of digitalization apps or technologies, I think the biggest challenge here is that migration, skilling the resources, unlearn and relearn. So because you have learned as a skill, as a resources, you have learned some technology in the past. Obviously, when you move to future-based technologies, obviously you need to relearn those aspects, adopt the new technologies in a certain way. And biggest challenge which I personally feel as of today is changing the mindset, right? So it's not just about couple of technologists who are going to change your organization. A whole organization has to come together, change their mindset to adopt to a newer world or newer set of technologies that's going to happen as a part of the digitalization, right? So I believe these are the few specific challenges all the organization faces as of today. Thanks.
Thanks, Nikhil. So I think One of the key things which Nikhil was saying is, I think the culture. I guess that's something we need to better, because I think we as a firm or we as an organization need to accept that resources will come and leave. There will be a gap in the skill set in terms of what we have right now and what we'll be getting in the future. But the question is, how do we adapt it? How do we, plan the things accordingly so that we can live with it? I think, yeah, that's something which we need to adapt with ourselves. Let's move on. How about Zhang Cho, maybe you want to say from more from the vendor perspective, how do you think, how do you
Yep.
see, your different clients are facing these challenges?
Yep. Hi, everyone. My name is Wei Zhang. So I represent a very different space, which is the startup space, right? And just to give our audience a little bit of an introduction, for those who haven't heard about Lendor, we are actually a circular platform for tech devices, where we offer on-demand rentals for on a wide range of consumer tech products. So you're looking at short-term from days to weeks, all the way to long-term leases, and we operate in a marketplace model. So rental of tech products and devices are not new in the market. They existed in one form or another. And typically, these are all offered by traditional businesses, right? So we see a huge opportunity to really democratize and digitalize the space, right? And create that ecosystem that will allow, which actually forms our greater vision of sharing of assets amongst businesses and consumers, really maximizing that utility and reducing e-waste. So today on our platform, we have 40, they're typically SME merchants on our platform, offering over 3,000 SKUs. So we help them through our technology to manage the end-to-end process, which are typically complex a rental transaction, right? So that also includes KYC, credit scoring, insurtech, payments collection, communication, logistics, and so on and so forth. So I think in our business, I'll just take an example. Scoring of customers is a big part, right? And businesses in the past, they will have to manually, the sales agent collect customer data in a very manual via email, right? Send over your data. So while we try to digitize and automate this process, the customers, one of the challenges, right? I mean, we face is not everyone is very adept to this digital journey, right? They still like that. Even our merchants, right? They still like the fact that it is coming through that in an email format, right? In a PDF, they sort of get they're used to that, right? So I think I agree with Nikhil. Sometimes it's the mindset. As we work with merchants, we have to work with their employees. We have to train them, and that training, even after training for a while, and even having monthly meetings, right? The employees are typically used to the way it is being done previously, right? So I think that shifts needs to happen, and it will happen, right? I think it's just a matter of taking time to run through some of the manuals with them, and today we actually have a team that actually serve that. So I think it's and also the fact that sometimes there's an almost ever changing requirement, right? Even for in terms of operations and production. So I think these are one of the things that we face as well. Yeah.
There is some challenge with Amit. So anyway, we carry on by the time Amit is back with us. I think then the next thing in terms of digitalization of business process, right? I think the next thing comes to our mind is what and what we should do in next couple of years to meet these challenges, right? So now we know there are a couple of I would say a lot of challenges in terms of that. But so Vijuan, what do you think? How and what we should do to meet your challenges in next couple of years?
Yeah. So I can speak for, of course, for my industry, and I also want to just openly say that I'm also a OCBC Bank customer, a corporate customer. So so obviously, as a tech startup, right? we look at our company and we try to adopt technology in every aspect of it. And we are also part of your OCBC banks being one of the customers, right? Being part of the digitalization journey. So I think even because I've also been for I've also formerly worked in corporate before, so I understand that I would say rather stark difference, right, between a corporate setup versus a startup, and that and of course there are good stuff that we can learn from both sides of both spectrum, but as an early stage startup, being agile is almost in our DNA, right? So we got to be able to twist and turn very quickly, adjust according to the customer needs and demands, as well as the from not just from customer, but there are different stakeholders, right? So we have investor stakeholders, we also have business stakeholders as well. So and as a startup, the pressure, right? The pressure for, especially for funded startup like us, we're expected to grow at 4x, 5x per year. So you can imagine the challenge and the stress. And by the way, you can't see, but I have white hair coming out. Uh, and that means, we've got to discover new customers, offer new products, new services, and your digitalization strategy sometimes has to be very agile to adjust as well accordingly, right? So, and I think at least for us, right, as we are scaling, as an early stage startup, you've got to scale very quickly. We find ourselves in a bit of a chaos sometimes, right? So that's where our corporate experience sometimes comes in, right? Because we don't, for a start, because you need to grow that quickly, find new customer, offer new products so quickly, we don't structure ourselves so well, right? And sometimes we don't overthink into some of the operational processes, because that could change very quickly, right? While we pride ourselves being able to change that quickly, that also means that sometimes the team needs to be on the same page as well, right? What you're doing right now, as much as possible, give it a bit of an MVP, right? Push it out, run it with your customers very quickly. If it fails, you fail quickly, and be able to adjust very quickly. So I would say in the next 2 or 3 years for us, definitely as we scale, I think we want to try to find a balance, right? We're going to take some of our corporate experience, I would say, strike the balance to see how we can find some order in this chaos, right? At least that's for our space, right? Nikhil, what about you?
That,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty valid, Nick. And thanks a lot for those inputs. I think the keywords that you have used, a couple of them are definitely some of the things that as a bigger organizations as well as a FIs as well, I'm sure everybody is trying to do the next couple of years. Like agility is one of them, as you mentioned about the agile, and another one is deploy first, fail fast. So as soon as you fail, you learn how not to do things. I think that is one of the experience. Definitely, a lot of technologists, I would say, have actually been opting out. Even corporate culture also. A lot of time, I have seen indulgence of this kind of methodologies where people can experiment fast, fail fast, and learn how not to do things. And then I'm sure, as a part of the new technology coming in, like so quickly, right? That the technology landscape is changing so quickly. I'm sure. I think these methodologies definitely will help them overcoming these challenges. I hope Amit, are you back?
Yes, my camera is still not working, but that's fine. I think,
Yes.
yeah. So I think, thanks for that. Like, Shankar has joined us. Do you want to like do maybe a quick intro of yours before? Let's move on. And Nikhil, will you like even to share from your side that what is your bank planning to do in next like couple of years from now in terms of managing operation? Few things which I've been seeing, but as telling earlier, is a lot of my clients are trying to use technology, especially like bots or AI, or or they even give a chance to revisit the entire process where they can probably revamp it up, or they might outsource some of the work. These are a few things which I've been seeing while interacting with a few of my clients. How about you? What do you think? What's been happening with your bank?
So I think that's kind of a strategy and roadmap perspective, and that's pretty valid a bit again. Uh, I'm sure technology is definitely one of the aspects that everyone is looking after to overcome the challenges in terms of utilization or operational migration from uh, legacy applications toward the digital world. Right now, we heard a lot of keywords, a lot of buzzwords like metaverse and other stuff coming into blockchain. So definitely, technology is one of the biggest aspect in this case. I would say not. I mean, including FIs, the strategy and roadmap is actually move whatever is possible to public cloud in secure manner and to use the services and resources available on the public cloud infrastructure, which is definitely not available or maybe difficult to get in on-premise environment, right? So that is definitely one of the aspects. Second aspect is to learn from our mistakes, right? So we know ML ops, AI ops, and FinOps. These three are the methodologies that can be used to learn from our mistakes to have predictive or prescriptive analysis on the basis of the historical problems that we have or that as a
Uh, can you hear me now?
Yes, Shankar.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Sorry, apologies, sir. So right now, actually, I'm in Singapore, so my network and my laptop has some issues. Okay. Um,
Yeah, Shankar,
okay.
maybe you want to give a quick introduction of yours before we start. Bombarding you with a lot of questions from the start.
Okay. Very good morning to everyone. And my name is Shankar. So, I work as Chief Data Scientist in APP Cinemas since 2018. So, I lead all the digital and data science teams. So, initially, we started simple analytics, and I started as a digital team, and we handle all digitalization projects. We started with simple um, data analysis, then we grown to even today is like a remote forestry data analytics, and also predictive maintenance. All things is remotely. We are setting up a lot of digital initializations, and including our products forecasting and wide areas. I'm bringing up all the digital initiatives. That's a quick summary of myself.
Sure. So I think something we would like to understand is from your side is what as Nikhil was saying, that technology is one of the areas where majority of the organizations are seriously considering as either using boards or intelligent automation or something else, and that even gives them an opportunity to revisit in terms of revamping their current processes, or maybe have a real look on what can be done, or they're even using this as a mechanism to maybe centralizing their operations, or maybe across the different business units they may want to centralize everything so that they can leverage on it. What do you think about it? Like, are you seeing something similar while into your interaction, or yeah, while interaction with your client, or what are you seeing now? What are you seeing in the market?
So let me share my views. It's like my experiences. I wanted to share it. So see, if you're looking back, last at least a decade, people are talking about a digital, right? Digital and analytics. So even though both controversial things, but what is happening is everyone looking at they wanted to bring magic things, but it's like either digital or any of data things. If you see, right, it's not a magic and it's not a hype. So everyone thinks it's like a hype. It is not going to happen in a overnight. So especially when it comes to the digitalization, it's not replacing like 97, 96, the how IT came. So it's drastically changed from manual world to some system world, right? So that's not happening. That's where it's like people, even though they think digital can change their way of life, it is not happening. That's what they think. But the thing is, it is going to happen it over the period. Let's say, let's talk about a simple example of our one of the use case. Let's say in a manufacturing sector, right? So if you want to bring a digitalization, so you have to first insert a sensors, IoT sensors. It's a process. Then you have to collect the data, then you have to analyze the data, then you have to give the insights. So if you're looking at it, there are multiple stages involved, and again, all these multiple stages should happen in a sequential manner. There is no parallel structure happens. And another aspect also, right? So all these also, people also should adopt the changes. So either business side or in a user side, right, people also should adopt the changes. So the change management, the way of understanding should change it as well. So when the people are not in a position to understand the process, so it is very difficult to talk about the digital technologies. Especially when it comes to the business today, everyone wants to leverage business, but how to leverage a business, how to understand the process, they are forgetting it. So if I tell a summary, right, so first, if any of a digital initiatives are a business value as extracted, so my experience is, first we talk about a change management, how you can convince a user so to bring it in there. It's all a process, so we have to talk about a process than technologies first. So once if you understand the process, the technology implementation, from the process to the technology, technology to the business value, so then the real value can see that. And also business people also give a trust. So the over the period, what's happening is the business people also losing the trust on digital technologies. Means people are only talking. That's the high word, we should change it. So my aspect is always, so we need to talk about real terms, is like it's not going to happen in a overnight. So it's a process. So the process need to be in a specified agile manner. So that's where we can bring it a real business value, and also can prove the business value in a, good terms.
Sure, Shankar. How about you, Wing Chang? What do you think is what do you think that how the your clients are adapting technology in terms of managing the business operations?
Yeah, I see many people wants to move to the cloud.
Shankar, I think let's yeah. Thanks for your feedback. Wing Chang.
Yes, I think. Thank you, Amit, for the question. I mean, as I was listening very closely to Sanka, and I agree with a few points, right? I think there's some common themes that both Nikhil and Sanka have shared, that I agree to as well, right? I mean, the mindset shift, right? I think that was, I think, the key thematic, at least for the last 5 minutes on that. And based on our experience, I think we can see that is today's workforce, I think, is getting more and more powered by, I would say, your Gen Z millennials, at least the people we work with, right? And these are the guys, are very, they grew up in a generation of technology, right? So I think this is where, and in fact, I read a report somewhere by 2025, 75% of the workforce is going to be uh, 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 powered by millennials, right? So I think that shift is going to continue to happen. Of course, we're not saying that, hey, just because you've got a younger workforce, that the mindset in adopting this technology it's higher, but the conditions are right. And today, when we work with some of the companies, while it could be a traditional business, and very very often we work with them, and they would assign a younger colleague to work with us on some of this, adopting some of this technology, and that, to us, when we see that, we can see that is that push, even from traditional businesses, right, that they want to do things a little bit differently. They want to, they know that the younger folks have greater, when it comes to online or digital strategies that they can offer. So I would say that it's still very, very positive, in terms of the adoption. Yeah.
Sure. I think so. Team. So what we are basically saying is that I think in terms of digital technologies, a lot of companies, firms are definitely adapting it up. Some of the other things which we need to be mindful is the culture, mindset. I think these are the few things which we all need to be mindful about when we talk about adopting digital challenges. I think so. My next question to the this panel will be that, yeah, we understand that, digital is the way to go about it, and let's assume that even if we change the mindset, but question to the panel is now is really digital technologies are working? Do you have any exceptions there? Because I'm sure if you need to adopt any of the digital technologies, like even if you talk about AI, we generally have the typical challenges with the AIs. I may not have the right data, then I really cannot do much about it. In terms of if I need to use my automation, using intelligent automation, my process may not be clear, because or the person who has done the process may not even be there, he must have left the organization, right? So these are typical challenges which you always face. So that's why my question to this panel is, yes, we want to have that mindset, let's say have a culture, we all want to adopt technology, but is it really working? And what are your thoughts about it? Let's start with Nikhil. What do you think about it, Nikhil?
Yeah, I think in terms of whether the technology landscape that we're going to use are fit for the use cases that we have as an organization, I believe yes. I have, from my practical experience also, I can actually say that. I mean, a lot of time, what happens is that our building blocks are not clear when we started with this designing and solutioning of the workflows, right? And that's where we come in a situation, as the example you mentioned, that maybe data preparation for AI and ML models are not good enough to generate the higher accuracy of the models, right? And so this is just one of the examples, but definitely if the building blocks of the requirement and the problem statement is actually pretty much clear, and if we know which technology to use to solve that problem, I think it's not a technology which can actually do anything on its own. As Shankar mentioned, nothing happens over the night, right? There is a stream of processes that you need to follow to make things works the way it is supposed to. Right? So that's my view on that. Definitely, technology is the answer for the problems that we have. It's just to understand which technology and how we should.
Sure, Nikhil. I think one more angle which I will even like you to consider is the regulatory angle, because many times, when we start adopting these digital technologies, then we even go start taking that very path. Sometimes we do get stuck with, because of the because of the regulatory barriers. Just to give an example, like if I want to use um, the any other technologies, and you have typical challenges like data need to be locally available. Which basically means that in Singapore, if I need to automate my operations, for example, for another country like Indonesia, I cannot do that because my all the data need to be locally based. So do you have something similar faced while doing for OCBC Bank, or during your interaction with any other bank?
So yeah, I mean the problem statement that you mentioned just now is data sovereignty. So luckily, as of today, all the cloud vendors they actually provide features and capabilities to manage data sovereignty and data residency, where you can make sure the data doesn't leave the country as per the local regulations, but still you are able to utilize the data for whatever process you need, and with fulfilling all the regulatory compliance requirements as well. So, because we have now a lot of tools and technologies available from either from cloud vendors or even on-prem as well, which actually help and support to fulfill all these business objectives.
Sure. Thanks. Maybe Shankar, do you want to talk about it? What do you think about it?
Yeah. Yes, today there are a lot of people adopting the digital technologies. I can see widely even in our organization and some of the clients which we deal. There are a lot of changes happen. So one thing I can say that there are a lot of things in our side as a technological side as well, right? We need to change. Like sometimes businesses are not in a position to define their problem at the earlier stages. So what happens is they also want to implement digital technologies, but they don't know what kind of way the problem is looks like. So that's where actually our technology people need to help them. So we may have to come up some kind of analysis and assessment and We have to redefine the problem, so which can bring the business value. So that is actually our technology people are not talking about it. That's some extent we need to rethink of it. See, because one, that is a one aspect. And second aspect, as a IT, whatever we call it as ourselves, right? So data people or IT people. So we only think about technological side, we are not correlating to the business side. So how the problem, so technologically can bring the business value. See, every business organization, right, they wanted a money, right? So end of the day they wanted a value. How we can extract that is what we have to talk about. Technological people, instead of talking the technology, we should talk about a value, in terms of value. So when you, people talk about a proof of concept, I talk about a proof of value. So if you talk about the proof of concept, it's a complete technology. So they may not be able to understand. When you talk about a proof of value, everyone interest. So that is where we can bring attention. So yes, even today the old folks, even some of people I have dealt with some of the projects, even 70 to 80 years stakeholders management, they are accepting the challenges and they are accepting the new technologies. They wanted to bring it technology. And thanks to AI side as well, there are a lot of new algorithms and new way of automation is coming up. If you take today machine learning, there are a lot of ready-made tools are available. You just need to plug in and plug out. And coming to the data side as well, right, there is no restriction today. So even a Google, everyone setting up, even Indonesia was a data problem, right? They have their own data setup. And one more problem also, I can say Microsoft, even we had a problem. Power BI, to push it the data completely to the cloud, our people were against. So what happened is Microsoft gave a leverage to only to metadata to upload only the results, remaining all sit in our own data source. So that's way is like cloud vendors are helping. So business people are also understanding. So the only thing is we have to be bit move towards a business oriented side, so that the engagement will fulfill and it will flourish in over the period. Definitely they're going to be change a lot of difference in by 2025. I can see it's a drastic change is going to happen it by 2025 to 2030. If you see, right, completely going to shift the world. That's the way technology is moving forward.
Sure. Thanks, Shankar. How about you, Ringjang? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the portion on cost benefit analysis, right? I think today we live in a generation where, as compared to 10 years ago, Sanka mentioned that the plug and play machine learning extensions available, right? So I think we live in a world today where, as compared to 10 years ago, that there is actually quite a number of technology that does not require a huge cost to implement, right? But of course, where with if the team has to adapt to use the technology, then that has to be analyzed to see, hey, are there going to be sufficient business value based on this adoption? And I think in Singapore, we actually attune ourselves more to US based technology companies, those coming out from Silicon Valley. You talk about cloud services, payments, etc. But this region, right? Even China, India, and Southeast Asia. If you're gonna look around, there's actually a lot more good technology actually created in this region for this region that perhaps you can partner with startups, right? Or partner with some of these companies to really have a very cost effective way to deploy this technology that then coming back, if it's you can implement quickly, fail quickly. If it doesn't work, it doesn't bring that business value, as Sanka mentioned, then being able to move on very quickly. So I mean, that's what I thought that we should consider. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the all your feedback thoughts on different topics. What basically, okay, what we're saying so far is, technology, yeah, yes, is a way to go about it. We still have some challenges in terms of getting the things done. So I think what is next I would like to understand is, as Shankar was saying, that things will change in next couple of years, or maybe there will be, as Shankar was saying, that there will be some drastic technology changes might be happening from 2025 to 2030. What I like to understand from this panel is, what do you think? How does the business operation will be there in next, say, 15 years down the line, or 10 to 15 years down the line, in terms of, do you still think that the typical challenges which we are having it right now in terms of resource crunch, we they the lot of banks and firms are using technology, but they are a little bit doubtful about it sometimes, because it works in 70 to 80% of the cases, but 20% cases there where things started dropping down, and you start losing that trust. Like for example, as majority of the people are from Singapore, you might have seen that sometimes, the DBS, there were a lot of people were not able to take out money from the ATMs for around day, and there was some fraud happened with the OCB's bank. So these are some of the things to happen when suddenly start losing the trust from the local banks. So just want to understand what you think about it, and how the entire business operation will be there in next, say, from 10 to 15 years down the line. Uh, and Yeah, so Nikhil, maybe, or maybe let's change the change the order this time. Maybe Vichwang, let's start from you. What do you think about it?
Yep, I think definitely it's going to be the next exciting 10 years, right? The way I'll probably adjust my lens is because we're a Southeast Asian startup. I want to talk a little bit about Southeast Asia as well. And if you look at the growth of Southeast Asia, um, Vietnam, for example, right, is undergoing this journey. They've logged in one of the highest GDP growth, right, in this region. And of course, in Singapore, we in many sectors, right, banking one of them, and many other different sector, including healthcare, digitalization is almost very common, and I think that the rest of Southeast Asia is going to catch up very quickly, right? I think for the longest time, Singapore is probably leading, right, in terms of if you talk about banking, digital payments, even as well. But regionally, these Southeast Asian countries, the digital payments, for example, adoption is growing at a huge, very rapid speed, right? So I think it's going to be that gap between Singapore and the rest of the other Southeast Asian countries definitely going to close up. Very soon, we're probably going to travel to you're going to if you're going to have a business in Vietnam, Malaysia, Philippines, the banking experience is going to be, I would say, in some sense, homogeneous across, right? And then there's not going to be a shortfall. So and if you look at Singapore, then we'll probably progress to a point where you're probably gonna see it in exist in places that you least expect, right? So you're probably gonna, I think today there are areas where a government is also looking at, right, in setting up some form of analytics, right, or monitoring of citizens, even, or people, right. So I think these are the things that's, where you least expect it, it is going to happen, right?
Thanks. Maybe Nikhil, you're to go next.
Sure. I think what I think is the two critical part that I can see nowadays, larger organizations or including FIs are actually intended to follow. One is design for data, and another one is observability. Because if we understand the mistakes from the past, right, we always realize that we don't know exactly what is happening inside the applications and the workflows that are running as of now. So though no, I won't say those are black boxes, but still the all intuitive insights are not coming out of those things, right? So that's why I use the word observability. Second part is design for data. So when we start designing or architecting the application, we always need to think uh, how I'm going to compare this application with the legacy application if it is a kind of migration, or if it is a new application, how I'm going to see the insights coming out of that application, not only in terms of the business output for the end users to consume, but also for the technologists or technology people to understand what exactly happened. So it should not be a black box. These kind of architecture decisioning will definitely help us improving the overall fabric of productionizing or operationalizing the digital applications of the world. Over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Nikhil. How about you, Shankar?
Uh, I wanted to talk about a couple of points here. One is a customer, another point is in a, business side. So, as Amit, so you say the one word is a trust, right? So both the sides, right? When see now everyone are even old people are ready to adopt the technology, either digital payments or anything. See, so have you seen like have you imagined like some 60, 70 years person going to use a smartphone and completely going to change. One is a COVID changed, and another thing is a mindset. People are also trusting. So people are trusting the technology, but what's going to happen is like and every user also wants to be lazy. Okay, today how many people we remember our numbers? Okay, so olden days we used to remember so many numbers. Means like everyone wants to be lazier in the sense when you make customer lazier they are happy. Means if you are bringing a so much lazier in the sense, if you are bringing a so much sophisticated technologies they like it. But the problem here is, so how to make the trust over the period? See, when you are bringing a so much technology, just like last time the Senate questioned Mark Zuckerberg, right? So how the freedom of data? So when you are collecting a lot of data from the user, how you are ensure that his data is secure? So that's the trust we have to maintain it. So that's it's like when you are adding on technologies and bringing a lot of features or whatever the uh, enhancements and technological side, right? We should definitely need to maintain the trust, and we should ensure the user that they are secure enough. That is the first point. It's a customer side. When it comes to the business side is also right. So when we are keep promising a lot of things on technology, we are also making a business users over promise. Sometimes our technology also has limitation, right? It's not going to change completely. It's not going to be flip the coin. So there are some limitations. So there are a lot of technological people are giving to the business people also is like going to change entirely, and a lot of false promises are people are giving. So that's a mindset we have to change it, so that actually the trust. So my perception and views are that, right, always. So we should talk about the facts, and we should always think on a longer run what is going to happen. It we should anticipate, and we should address this at least in a simulation manner. So how to bring a trust in both the business and customer, and how to ensure long term sustainability and scalability towards is like when you are bringing a law in a larger scale. So these points actually we have to bring into uh, the reality of the reality actually, so that actually so people will trust. So that my only concern is the technology definitely going to change it. So how we can maintain the trust and in a longer run, so both
Thanks.
customer and business side.
Thanks, Shankar. Okay. Um, what I think is that on this topic is yes, we do have challenges in terms of adapting what is currently emerging. But in next 10 years down the line, majority of our critical operations will move to cloud. And as majority of the people might be knowing that the up um, what the cloud providers are giving assurance is that all these services are up to 99.95%. For example, I was interacting with some of my Azure folks yesterday. They were saying that the uptime for their services is 99.95%. So, in short, what I'm saying is all the majority of the critical business operation will move to cloud. And once you started moving to the cloud, you can do a lot of automation and a lot of new technologies by which majority of your operations can be, self heal sort of a thing, and that means the operations will be much more smoother. So a lot of these hindrances which we are currently facing in terms of adopting technology, processes changing, people leaving, we might be able to go away with it, and all this will more like a become like more like a very smooth, and then everything will be transparent, straight through processes, and everything will be up and running, and chance all these initial hindrances which you are currently facing might go away next 10 to 15 years down the line. um, and obviously the technology is very changing. First, saying that there might be some challenges here and there, but that's the way I see it. Anyway, so that's my thought on this. But anyway, we are almost on the verge of completing it up. So I just want to like this panel to share any of their last thoughts. So just be mindful. We have 1 minute for each speaker because we already are running out of the time. Okay, maybe we can start with Shankar, with you first. You just have 1 minute to share your last thoughts.
Um, so if you ask me, so my stake here is like, when we are talking any of the problem, so we have to be uh, look into the longer run than short terms. So also is like how technology can bring the business value rather than people talking about the technology can leverage their solution. So my always concept is to people is like always talk about a business value. So and also bring a sustainability in a long term, so people will like it. So and mostly what we have to introduce whatever the technology, right? So we should make them either everyone to be trusted in a longer run. So some of the cases the people adopt and they stopping, so that shouldn't happen it. So in a nutshell, so my point is like make them trust on your technology on a longer run.
Sure. Thanks, Shankar. Nikhil, do you want to go next?
Sure. I think I just have few keywords to express what I think people should do or organizations should follow. One is definitely to streamline the business process and operations. Obviously, again using technology, and another one is improve customer experience by having the feedback loop, by continuously designing for data and have the proper observability in place, because that's the key to the resilience. Because as soon as we just keep moving to a new technology, obviously we will have that transformation bring destabilization at the start. That's the key one. So we should always be ready for that factor and design in a way that we should be able to observe it properly. That's it. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Nikhil. Wei Cheng, do you want to?
Yep. So my parting words would be I think a greater collaboration with different technological within the technological ecosystem, whether is it enterprise software with corporates, and it could be startups with enterprise software. I think with that greater collaboration, then the deployment and suddenly we'll look at it. We used to think that, hey, digitalization, adopting certain technology is an expensive, costly process. It may not be so in the next couple of years. So greater collaboration.
Sure. So just let me summarize. So what we discussed so far is yes, the digital technologies is the way to manage the business operations. Some of the key takeaways from this panel is that culture, the culture and mindset and the trust, the few things which we need to consider when we start doing these things. Another thing, another good point which comes is the collaboration part of it, which we need to be considered. So these are the few things. These are the few takeaways from the interaction. I think that's yeah, but I think where we're coming from is if we start doing these things, the business operations can be managed smoothly. Um, yeah, that's all from our side. Thanks, Nikhil, Vijay, and Shankar for your thoughts. Um, yeah,
Thank
Jet,
you,
do you
Amit.
want to take over? Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Amit. Thank you to the rest of the panelists for that great discussion. If you have any questions for any of our speakers, you can reach out to them directly by sending them a private message and looking for their names under the People tab. They'd be more than happy to answer any of your inquiries. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a nice day.
Yeah.
All right. So that is a cap on our digitalization of production and operations track. We are now heading into a quick lunch break. We still have two tracks for you on the afternoon sessions. We'll be going live on the next one at around 2:45 p.m. Singapore time. In the meantime, we also invite everyone to visit the booths and engage with everyone there during the lunch break. Thanks again and see you in the afternoon.